Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. How are you all today? I'm fine, thank you. It is a beautiful day. It's a scorcher. It's a hot one. It's Sunday. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. I'm going to talk today about what you should buy now. We know that we have challenging times headed our way. We've been going through some challenging times, haven't we? But I think they're going to continue to get worse. And there are a few things that I would suggest that you go out and get if you can. And they're probably not what you think. So we'll get to that in a minute. Welcome to all the new people, both on YouTube and on Patreon. Again, we have had Patreon is growing so fast. I want to welcome all of you who are over on Patreon. And especially, and not to diminish those who are on the entry level, but especially those who have come up to the Stonemont level. I've been really surprised how many people did that, and it's working out so well. That I should back up and explain very quickly what, for the people who aren't on Patreon, what that is, and then what the Stonemont level is. I had some people ask, well, why should I come to Patreon? What do I get there that I don't, that's not on YouTube? And that's a good question. It's a fair question. So I just jotted down some of the videos just in the last couple of weeks that have been up on Patreon that are not on YouTube. Okay, and they are things that as we get into more challenging times, as we get into a more dangerous world, these are things that really you need to know, and I wish you'd know, and it only costs you $1 a month to get over there, but I wanted to let you know what they are. Truck guns, put one up on truck guns, and I have a different opinion on that than many people do. Open carry or concealed, I realize these are things that I actually have experience in. There's a lot of people out there making videos, and I'm not going to slam them because they're passing on information that they know or have been told. Not that they know, but they've been told, and there's a big difference. But I come from experience as opposed to just having heard somebody else say it. Important survival lessons from real life abductions. Training young people to deal with violence, preparing young adults to protect themselves, road attacks, and then I had a fun one, me shooting my new Smith & Wesson Model 57-41 Magnum. Then I had a short introduction to point shooting, which I'll be doing more on that here pretty soon, but Mark and I went over to the range, and I had him showed him some point shooting for the first time, and he did amazingly well, and it's an important skill to have. A lot of people don't realize how important point shooting is. And then the last one, scientists want to refreeze the poles. Now, why would that be over on Patreon? Well, the reason that it is because these are things that have a tendency to pull so many people in that are interested in these things, but don't have a lot of knowledge about them. Well, Steve, why wouldn't you want them then to be pulled in and share all this information with as many people as possible? Well, I'd love to share it with as many people as possible, and that's why you should be on Patreon. But when I put these things up, these are things that so many people think they know about, and they're just flat out wrong. and so they'll come into the comment section and try to express their opinions, which are, which come from no experience. And then I've got to get in there, I've got to weed them out or try to answer them to clarify, because I don't want my people to be misled on this stuff. It's important. I'm going to put one up pretty soon. It'll probably go on YouTube because a lot of people need to hear it. And that is, don't teach what you haven't done. Simple as that. Don't teach what you haven't done. Just because you've heard somebody else say it doesn't mean that you know it, okay? So that's important. And it's not just what I put up on Patreon to share, but we have such an amazing community on Patreon They are so smart. They add so much after I've already done a video. They put stuff up there that you will learn so much from. And so much that I even told Kelly to join on Patreon. And she hears me make most of these videos, right? And of course, she's around me all the time, so she knows by osmosis. But I said, I would join on Patreon so that you'll have access to go through all of the comments, because I learn. We've got some sharp people. So that's why you should be on Patreon. And why should you come up to the Stonemont level if you want to? That's the level I separate that allows me to have more direct communication with people who want to ask me questions and things like that. Today I started my day, got up, had my cup of coffee, checked all the emails and things, was able to get back to a couple of Stonemont level people. I just don't have time to get back anymore to all the people who are on YouTube or the first level of Stonemont. I mean first level of Patreon. Although I'd like to, and I do if I can, but I can't very often. But when I see that they're the Stonemont level, it just shows me, hey, they really want to be a part of it. They really, they're really there, and I will get back to them always. And sometimes I'll use their questions as an idea for a video, and sometimes I just answer them directly. So that's kind of how you get a little private time with me if you'd like it, a little direct access to me if that's important to you. The reason that we call it the Stonemont level, because it's based on my books, the Stonemont Series. I'll show you that in a minute. But I want to get to what I want to talk about today. Like I said, everything's getting crazier. You probably expect me to say, buy more food. And yes, I would. Buy more food. Buy anything that you think that you're short on, okay? That's general preparedness. But specifically, I am suggesting to my people, and I am doing it myself, buy shotguns and revolvers. Now, why would I say that, right? I'll take these off for now. I don't need those to see you all. Why would I say that? Well, we don't know what's coming down the road. I am not as sure as many people seem to be that there's going to be this big red wave that is going to come crashing over in November and return sanity to government. First off, even if it were a red wave, we got plenty of people on the red side who are not particularly sane, and all they are is blue lights. I don't mean that by police lights, but they're just dim lights. And so we don't have a lot of fighters necessarily coming in. We'll see. That's more political than anything else, and that belongs over on American Reversion. But I am not as sure as many people are that that the Republicans are going to take back the House and the Senate. And then even if they do, I'm not at all convinced that they're going to do a lot that they need to do to square things away. For the most part, historically, Republicans have only been taking this country in the same direction as the Democrats, simply more slowly. Okay? And if somebody wants to take me off a cliff, you can argue that going there more slowly than quickly would be a good thing, but you're still going off the cliff. And so I hope that we'll get some people in there who will try to turn things around, but I don't live my life on hope, and I'm sure you don't either. So I can see, as they get in there, even if the Republicans get in there as a majority, I can see them going along with a lot of what Slow Joe has already put into place. They've been buddies with Nancy Pelosi, and they've been buddies with Joe Biden, and they've been buddies with Chuck Schumer for a long time. Many of them feel much more akin to those people than they do their own constituents, and that's who they're going to serve so that they can be buddy-buddy. Yeah, there are some good ones. How many? I'd say a very low percentage. So we don't know what may happen with gun control. And it's one of the reasons that I've always felt good about carrying a 1911. You know, so one of the first things that they might do is try to put another ban, so-called high capacity, a ban on any magazine over 10 rounds. Okay, well, if you carry a 1911, you don't worry about that, right? And I know, you know, I'll probably get a comment or two from the people who seem to think that carrying a 1,000-round double stack is the only way to go because they live by the spray and pray method of self-defense, right? Well, I will tell you right now, that is asinine. I'll put it nicely. That's asinine. And for those people who seem to think that, I will refer you back to the one that I did about the cop Clayton Jennison murdering that 17-year-old boy here in Overland Park, Kansas, because when the kid came out of his garage, this idiot just started shooting, like I see so many do. They just get up there and go bam, 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 you know, spray and pray. You need to have control over what you're shooting, and if you need more than 10 rounds, you know what? You had better be behind something. You know, I would always said the first rule of Smith gunfighting school, and I know some people will say, have a gun. Well, okay. So after you have a gun, we'll assume that, right? First thing is to get behind something that'll stop a bullet. I know tactically that's called cover, but I call it get behind something that'll stop a bullet. Okay. So get that. 1911s are great. If you're new to it, if you want something even that's probably not going to be included in any ban, because there has been talk about banning semi-automatic weapons, get a revolver. Now, I made that one. If you all saw, if you were on Patreon, you saw me shooting my Model 57. I said, I'm an old revolver guy. I love revolvers. They're works of art as far as I'm concerned. Auto loaders, they're just tools, you know. Now 1911s are works of art, but revolvers are, and they are extremely effective. And I know, again, for the people who seem to think that extreme high capacity is the answer to all things, stuff got done with revolvers for a long time. And I don't remember what the statistics on this are. I've heard, like you have probably, most gunfights happen, you know, are over in 3 seconds, happen within 3 yards, and take 3 rounds or something like that. You know, I heard that too, and I think a lot of that is out of very selective statistics. Okay. So, you know, I'm familiar with a number of gunfights, and you know, they come in different sizes and flavors, to be real honest, but most of them don't take more than 6 or 7. Probably if a ban comes along, you're not going to be hit, you know. Let me go back for just a minute and cover what I know will be a question when somebody says, well, if they put a ban on high capacity magazines, and I have my pistol that carries 17 or 18 or 19 or a million, you know, well, I'm just going to keep on carrying it. Okay, you're going to keep on carrying it, and because they can't tell me what to do, and we have to draw a line somewhere, and we have to stand up, right? Yeah, okay. Do what you want. I mean, it's not up to me to tell anybody what to do. But so you get pulled over, you know, by somebody in a traffic stop, you know, or somebody runs into you, and all of a sudden, you know, now the police are there, and they're in the process of looking around and making their report. They go, they notice. They go, oh, what you got there? What you got there, son? What's that on your belt? Well, it's my high-capacity 17-shot double-stack pistol here, because I'm just not going to go along with those rules because I think that it's against the Second Amendment and it's stupid and all that. And they'll say, well, okay, hey, come on with us. And we're going to confiscate that gun, and now you've got a gun charge on you. Okay, now you feel free to stand up against that if you want to. Okay, but I tell you what, now you don't have a gun. Now you've lost your gun. You don't have one. If that gun were back in your gun safe at home, nobody would ever know it was there. And if you were carrying a 1911, they go, oh, okay, cool. That falls within the parameters of what's legal right now. See, dealing with the legal system is just it's playing one big game. Should it be that way? No, I know it shouldn't be that way, but it is. It's what it is. And the person who plays the game the best wins. Okay, so that's all I'm saying is be smart. So now stepping back into the revolvers, a lot can be done with a revolver. And first off, they're more powerful, than the average auto loader. But Steve, the 10 millimeter is the ultimate. Yeah, I know. 10 millimeter, it's a great round. I don't own one, just because everything I have, I'm satisfied that it would be able to do the job. Actually, I'm thinking I might buy one. I might buy one simply as I start teaching people to shoot again. When I teach people to shoot, this is just a little aside here before I tell you what else to buy. When I teach people to shoot, and I don't do it in large groups, because I like to be able to, first off, I don't like to yell and scream. Okay. And secondly, I want the group small enough, and by that I mean 4 or 5 max, to be able to see exactly what everybody is doing and to stop anything dangerous or inappropriate like that. Okay, I'm not going to scream down a line of 20 people, get your, but when I do that, the first thing that I do when I teach people to shoot is I get with them and I lay out an array of handguns. Everything from mid-sized revolvers to large auto loaders. And I have quite an assortment. And then I'll explain to them all about them, and I'll have them pick them up. This is also how I get people to understand that they need to go larger than a 9mm, because I'll show them, first off, that if most, well, not most, there's a lot of little tiny guns that come in 9mm that don't come in 40. But you get a good carryable size gun. If you can get it in 9, you can also get the same model in a 40, which is a much more effective round, 40 or bigger. So I'll have them handle everything, see how it works, see what size hands they have, and kind of what might be best for them. And then after we go through an intensive safety class and an explanation of exactly how guns work, then I will take them to the range. This is for the newbie, right out of the box, right, newbie. But it's also for people who have had a gun and really haven't had much training on it, which is most people. And then I'll take them to the range and I'll let them shoot a variety of those guns. This is also how they find out that, a 40 is not scarier than a 9. And if they can shoot a 9mm, that's the only reason that I keep a 9mm, so people can shoot it and then shoot the 40 in the same model and go, oh, okay, well, the 40 is not scary at all. It's not bad at all. Okay, I'll get that. But I let them shoot everything from 9mm to 38 to 40 to 45, and now for the special ones, I'll let them shoot my 41 mag. And maybe because of that, I'll buy a 10mm. But a 10mm won't do much that a 357 can't. And it's a little more powerful, but a 357 can pretty much get any job done that needs to get done. And when you go up above that, and even a 45 for that, against anti-personnel type of things, and a 10mm won't approach a 41 Magnum, no matter what some people say. So anyway, so that's what I would suggest. Revolvers. In addition to being, making sure that you're always going to have a gun and then train on it, because revolvers are different than than autoloaders. Train on it, so you understand, you feel the triggers and all that. It's different. And but they'll all, in order to have a gun that you're always pretty much going to be, legal with, I suggest revolvers also. It's a great investment. And if you get to the point to where, it's Fort Apache and you're surrounded and you have friends over and, pick your scenario of choice, and you need to give a handgun to somebody to help you out in a spot, revolvers are much easier for the neophyte to shoot than a semi-auto. How many jams have I had with semi-autos? I've had some. And I've had them in pretty much every auto that I've had, and you all know why. It could be any number of things. With a revolver, I've never had it. I've never had, you don't have jams in revolvers, and let me put it this way: I've never had one fail to go bang. Simple as that. So they're simple. They're easy to give to somebody if you needed to give to somebody who's not experienced, and they're dependable. Next, shotguns. Get a shotgun. There may be a push, we know, and we don't know whether it's going to be coming in the next year or the next 10 years, but why not start getting ready now? The price of guns has come down. It'll probably skyrocket pretty soon, depending on how how this next year or two goes. I am a big believer in shotguns. I am also a big believer, although most that I have are 12 gauge, I love 20 gauge. 20 gauge is easier to handle for women or smaller men. It's still a 50 caliber. I mean, you put a slug in a 20 gauge, it's a 50 caliber. How much more do you need than that, right? Or you put in buckshot. Now, if we go up to a 12 gauge, think about this, whether it's for home defense, perimeter defense, whatever it is, zombies coming at you. If you're using double-aught buck, this is for those who have not thought about shotguns as a viable alternative to, the modern sporting rifle that everybody loves. And I'm not saying don't have those, have them. But you should also have something that's not going to be included in a ban, right? So let me explain this. And I've taught this for years, and I actually heard somebody say the same thing on a video about 6 months ago, and I don't remember who it was. I think I wrote the title of the channel down so I wouldn't forget, because I was going to say, good for him. But he's the only one that I've heard really get into this. If you have a shotgun loaded with 4 in the tube and 1 in the chamber, and you can get magazine extensions on those, but let's just say the basics. Each 12 gauge shell carries 9 33 caliber projectiles. Okay, so every shot you take, there's 9 30 cals going out there. Now, it's not going at rifle speed, but it's still going out there. And I tell you what, if somebody is 50 feet away from you and you shoot them with a 12 gauge, they're not going to say, oh man, I'm sure glad he didn't shoot me with a 22, 223-556. So you shoot 1 out there, and you got 9 going. If you shoot 5, how many do you have? 95 30 caliber, actually 33 calibers, but people thinking 30s more, I think, calibers, projectiles going out there, and you know how fast you can do that. You can put 5 out there in a matter of a few seconds with a pump. How long is it going to take you to put 45 out there with a rifle? Okay, well, 1 with each trigger pull, right? How fast can you, and I know that people love to see how fast they can shoot, and I know people love binary triggers. I know all this stuff. Most of that is silliness. If you have a rifle, you ought to be thinking about, unless you're involved in suppressive fire, you ought to be thinking about trying, to be discriminating about your target, right? So how long would it take you to put 45 out there, 45 projectiles? Well, as long as it can take you to shoot through a magazine of 30, and then a magazine change, and half of the next magazine, right? So which makes more sense? I won't really put it in that, I shouldn't put it in that way, which makes more sense. But do you see now how a shotgun can be extremely effective? And again, especially in the hands of a neophyte, okay? You have some people over, and this is why, you know, everybody should have a little armory, right? You should have extras, because in case of the big collapse, you probably going to have some people coming your way that are good folks, you want them with you, but they aren't gun savvy, and you need them to be. And it's a lot easier to hand somebody a revolver when you say, hey, point and click, than it is to, you know, show them all the things on it. Well, you know, I know that the modern, you know, pistol is the Glock and Glock cones. They're easy, but if you got a jam, then they're not easy. And how much easier to give somebody a shotgun when you say, pull the trigger, it's going to release this thing up here, pull it in, push it out, and shoot again, okay? Rather than all the controls that seem confusing to a new person on an AR, okay? So anyway, those are my thoughts. I think that they are good investments. They are the things that I will be buying more of now as a way to prepare for and kind of, you know, prepare against any possible bans that be coming down the road. You know, if you feel differently, that's all right. Do what you think is right for you. But this is for people who are thinking, what should I get right now? Right now you can get, you know, revolvers tend to be expensive, a little more expensive than you can get a lot of autoloaders for less than you can a revolver, but, you know, revolvers are great investments. I think I'm going to call it quits now, go do some things, going to do a little more writing on the book. Started my day out writing, answering some videos, then writing on the book, and then one of my sons and I went out and threw the football around, practiced a little passing and receiving, and then I made pancakes, and then I came out, played with the dog, and then I shot this. I'm going to go back in and work some more on the writing on the 6th book. And for those of you who haven't or don't know, as I always say, this video and every other one is brought to you by the Stonemont Series, my series of books, The Reversion, The Revival, The Renewal, An Appeal to Heaven, and The Blessings of Freedom. And I think I may have decided on the title for the 6th. I'm not sure yet, so I'm not going to say. But this collectively is known as the Stonemont Series. And it is everything you could possibly need to know about how to prepare for, how to survive, and how to rebuild after a major collapse of our country or the world. And if you haven't read them and you'd like to, and I think you'd like them, right down below is how you can get them, down in the information section and a pinned comment, how you can get them from Amazon, either paperback or Kindle, or how you can get autographed copies from me directly. I think that's all we need. Oh, if you want to join us over on Patreon, it's down there too, the link over to the Patreon channel. And again, special thanks, welcome to everybody. Welcome to all the people on Patreon, and special welcome to those who have come up to the Stonemont level. If you haven't come to Patreon, I hope you do, for what you will get out of it. Okay? All right, I'm going to get out of here and go do something else. You all have a great day. Look up and see what revolvers and shotguns are going to run you. And remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.